Last year,
Mhm.
Game 4.
Notre Dame.
Game 3 for us, Game 4 for them.
Mhm.
We traveled to South Bend, Indiana. You and I traveled to Pittsburgh, by the way, and we
Just a great time.
wonderful time hanging out with the Alumni Club of Pittsburgh. We do
Wasn't
it
sure I was
once
going
a
to live through
year.
that game, but
We do it once a year, and we're 3-0. It's a great time hanging out with all of the alumni and fans in Pittsburgh there, and of course Wargo, right? I mean, who doesn't love hanging out with Wargo?
absolutely.
We watched that game. We were on the edge of our seat. It was an amazing game.
Mhm.
However, I have been I have been very honest about that football game, and so much so that even Ohio State fans will argue with me. But there's if you look at the statistic like percentages of that football game and late in the game, and you know how ESPN
Notre
would
Dame
like
should have won it. Is that what you're going to say?
yes,
They should have.
yes.
Absolutely. How we
All they
pulled that
had to
off?
do, all they
Run the
had to
ball.
do was turn around and hand the ball off to Estime. They win that football game. And even if we stop them three straight plays in a row,
They run so much time off the clock that
we would gotten the ball back with like what 20 some seconds,
yeah, it was
maybe
20 to 30
30.
seconds. Yeah.
I mean, come on. So then, not only that, but then we do get the football back, and there should have been an interception.
Absolutely.
Kyle threw the football through the hands of a Notre Dame defender. Adam, remind me who the player was. He's one of your better defenders last year. Should have had that. Should have had that INT. Now, that's number 2. Now, number 3. Kyle McCord threw probably the prettiest ball he threw all season long
Probably in his life.
to Emeka Egbuka to get us down to the goal line. I mean, that thing was laced. Absolutely perfect.
Mhm.
Unbelievable play. But even down there on the end zone, we run the football and get stonewalled, and Marcus
Forgets to send an 11th guy on the field.
leaves 10 guys on the field. We ran it right where the 10th guy, 11th guy should have been, and we still barely made it. That's why he's gotten the nickname Marcus 10 Man. Okay? You add up all of those percentages. Everything had to be exactly right for Ohio State to win that game.
Yes.
What if we wouldn't have? What if we would have lost that game? What if Kyle threw an interception? What if Notre Dame ran the football and run the clock out?
I'll
What if Emeka Egbuka dropped that pass or Kyle was just a couple inches lower or higher on that throw? What if Marcus would have remembered that you can play football with 11 guys on defense
yeah.
and we lose that football game?
I'll tell you what happens. If we have a healthy Devin Brown, Kyle McCord isn't the quarterback.
Oh, you're getting now. You are you wearing a tinfoil hat, Chris?
I'm just saying it as it is. That's common sense.
So 419, I see you waiting in the green room there. You will be first up, my man. 419. I gotta get my sheet out here, Chris, of all of my numbers that I have written down to find out who it is. But here's my theory. And Chris, you can agree or disagree, but right now it sounds like you're agreeing with me for the most part. What if we lose that football game? Does Ryan Day at that point consider giving Devin Brown more of a nod to win that starting job in game 4? Because think of this. We go on our bye week, I believe.
Mhm.
And he sits down, he watches the film, he reconsiders things. Because coming
That
off
game
of that
made
game,
McCord.
we were all high on Kyle McCord, right?
All of us.
Ice in his blood. What a drive. One of the best game-winning drives of all time. And he at that point, you're right. Ryan Day cannot remove him as starter. He just led you in a fourth quarter game-winning drive in
Against the
South Bend,
top 10
Indiana.
team.
In South Bend, Indiana, you've got all the momentum. You can't take him away from the starting position now.
Mm-hmm.
But if we lose that game and Devin Brown gets the nod coming off a bye week in game 4, how different would have this team looked by game 12 in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Oh, it's a completely different team. Um, the skill set was a different skill set between the two guys. Um, I think that, and this is the thing, Eric, and this is what I go back to. I think Day's ego got in the way with McCord getting the starting nod because everything we have heard was him and Devin Brown were not only a lot closer, but a lot of the coaches wanted Devin instead of Kyle.
Half of them. It was split.
Okay, so half of them wanted him. If McCord goes out there and loses that game, you're going to have an uprising because it becomes an "I told you so" moment.
You're
And
wait.
these guys are, listen, if you're a coach, a player, whatever, you're a competitor, you've got an ego. Every single one has it. They have to. That's what makes them good.
Yeah.
They've got that confidence that borders on arrogance.
Yeah.
So you better believe the competitor in some of these coaches is going to say, look, I told you, this is what we should have done. I think that it would have been a good, we would have had a switch, and I don't know whether it would have been a good or a bad thing.
All right.
I think that the quarterback play would have been much improved because I think by the time we get to week 12, as Devin, if he stays healthy, is getting the snaps and gets comfortable in the offense, we don't see the Devin that we saw for 2 minutes in the Cotton Bowl.
The chat's fired up, and it's really hard for me to keep up with the chat here because obviously this theory of mine that we're going down this path is struck up some really good conversation here. Even as Kyle was driving us down the field, Ken says, I still wanted Devin because I could see right through that moment. Ken, you're better football IQ than what I have then because
Yeah,
I
I
came
admit
out
it.
of that game thinking
We were confident.
I called him Kyle McCool, man. I
Yeah,
made the graphic. I was ready to rock and roll with Kyle. And then all year long, we never saw that fire like he had at the end of that game when he celebrated and he was, cheering and
it's
yelling.
almost like something happened to him, Eric. It really is. It's like some kind of a switch just flipped, and he's like, I don't know. He like you said, he lost the fire, he lost the passion. And that's something that I will give credit to Devin Brown through the injuries, through the controversies, through the competitions. Devin Brown has always had confidence in himself, and he's always had that fire, that passion. And I haven't seen that out of McCord.
Trying to put this Monica person on a block. She's offering her services to the chat. It's not letting me block her here. Get out of here, Monica. No one cares about that. We're talking football. Um, anyways, I don't know if you can do that, Chris. It's not letting me get rid of her. That's bothering me.
I don't know that I've got access to do that, Eric, but I'll see if I can't figure out something.
Okay. Let me continue with my theory.
You go ahead.
Thank you. So this is all hypothetical at this point, guys, right? Like let's just be completely honest here. As Larry Daniels answers the 499 chat from the Wolverine fan with a 499 super chat that says Honda just couldn't handle the bright lights. It seemed like after that moment he couldn't. Um, you're right, Larry. We'll see how those, if maybe those lights won't be as bright for him in Syracuse, New York, and he'll do better. I don't know, but Devin Brown gets the nod from Coach Day in Game 4, and he's got from Game 4 to Game 11 to work out whatever issues he has. Now, hear me out. Let's say let's say he wins all those games up to the one against Michigan and Ann Arbor. So we go into that game instead of 11-0, we're 10-1 because we lost to Notre Dame. But we beat Michigan. That means we go on to play for the Big Ten championship. We're going to win the Big Ten championship because let's face it, Iowa's trash.
Yeah.
That's Ohio State going on to play in the college football playoff at
Yeah.
11-1, 12-1 Big Ten champions, undefeated in the Big Ten, one loss to Notre Dame in South Bend by 6-7 points, whatever it was. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the committee puts Ohio State in, and if not, how do you not put the Big Ten champion in? Right?
Right.
So if you look at that scenario that I just laid out for you, I want to blame Notre Dame for Ohio State not if Notre Dame would have actually done what they should have done, what a good football team does, and just stops Ohio State on that last drive, we might have been Big Ten champions this year.
Might have been national champions, Eric.
Am I crazy?
No, and I'll tell you what, this
I'm
just gives
blaming
me
Notre Dame
another
for all
reason.
this.
This gives me another reason to hate Marcus Freeman. Just another reason to despise that turncoat. No, because you're absolutely right. And you know what? Our friend Blue Wolverine pointed something out as well. Had Day had the guts to go for it on fourth down more, that may have been a different game. And let me tell you something. I believe with Devin Brown, he goes for it on fourth down.
Well,
I
we
don't.
don't know that. I mean,
I believe.
down a
I believe.
distance, you know.
Well, yeah, down and distance is going to be a factor. But if we have a fourth and short, and you have the choice of Devin Brown or Hugo McCord, because I'm not even going to disgrace a Honda by calling him Honda. Hugo McCord or Devin Brown on a fourth and short, I'm going to take Devin Brown every day of the week.